Welcome to AirInKnows.com. Just to kind of give a brief introduction, what we're going to try to do is once a month at a minimum, or hopefully more than that, we are going to try to sit down with one of you guys as experts in the field and try to give an interactive interview with questions from the site. So I'd like to take the time now to welcome our first expert, Lee Levisay. Lee is with the Pros Company. How are you doing today, Lee?
Doing great, Ray. Thank you very much.
Good.
I
appreciate you taking the time to sit down with us. Just to kind of get started, can you introduce yourself and then tell us how you got into the compressor business?
Okay. My name is Lee Levisay, and I was one of the principals to the Pros Company. We started it back in August of '09, and since then, we've become a very successful business in rebuilding air ends. We've had them come in to us as far as China, and we get them from North America on a regular basis.
You said you started the Pros Company 4 years ago. Was that your first entrance into the compressor business, or were you in the compressor business before that time?
No, actually, I was in the compressor business previous to that. I've been in the natural gas compression business since 1988. And the last 2 years before starting the Pros, I was dealing with just screw compressors or air ends in the natural gas business, because with the natural gas business, all compressors that are in natural gas either came from refrigeration or industrial air. So my background, I'm very familiar with the air compressors and the gas compressors and the refrigeration compressors.
Okay, well, good. Well, so the natural gas side of things, that's interesting. Some of our distributors and people like that work in the air business may end up coming across natural gas compressors at times. Do you think that could be a way for some of our companies to enhance their business? Is there a tie over from industrial air to natural gas as far as compressor similarities?
They are the same compressors. What they do is with the natural gas, they'll put a mechanical seal in it, whereas with air, you'll normally have a lip seal or a labyrinth type seal. So the main difference is the sealing of the compressor. Natural gas, you can't afford any leakage whatsoever. That is the main difference between the actual, we call an air end and a gas end.
Okay, so you think that if one of our distributors out there right now that's specifically focused in air, what about on the service side of things? Would that work servicing a natural gas compressor? Do you think that some of our guys could transition on the service side as well?
Well, service is going to be a little bit more difficult, because with the natural gas, you're actually working with a very highly volatile gas.
Sure.
And with air, it's what you're in every day.
Right.
But with natural gas, you've actually got different types of equipment. You've got water separation. Your natural gas well is going to be an open system, and I would consider air as a semi-open system, because on natural gas, you're going to get anything the well gives up. With an air compressor, you're just taking the atmospheric air.
Okay.
And most of your conditions are going to be from atmosphere to about 125 pounds, maybe 150, max 175, unless you're in the air drilling. But with natural gas, your discharge pressures and suction pressures are going to be all over the board. You may have a 25-pound suction pressure to a 250-pound discharge. It's rare that you get below zero, but that does happen. Okay. You could actually have a vacuum on a natural gas well and take it up to 300 pounds, 350.
Okay.
So.
Well, I would invite, I don't want to spend too much time on the natural gas side, but I know that we have a lot of people that they're looking for any way they possibly can to enhance their business. So I would just invite anybody watching this, if you have more questions on the natural gas side, if that's something that your company is looking to get into, feel free to shoot us an email and let us know, and we can try to to build on that some. But to kind of get back into your what you're doing now, I noticed you wrote an article with regards to air end forensics. Can you kind of describe that to our viewers that may not have had a chance to read that article?
Okay, Rhett, good question. We at the Pros Company, when we disassemble an air end, we want to try to figure out what happened. Why did it fail? And in doing that, we become forensic scientists pretty much. So we look at all the clues to find out, why did this air end fail? If we can identify the reason your air end failed and communicate that back to you, and we do that through a technical evaluation.
Okay.
But if we communicate that back to you, then we can help you better run your business and make your air end last longer and correct any problems that we may have discovered that's causing the failure. So our whole goal is to give you better runtime and have you actually spend less on your rebuilds and have them last longer. So we will help you troubleshoot in any way that we can to achieve that goal.
Let me ask you this. With the forensic side of things, have you seen the forensics actually help customers? So in other words, when they get this report back, and I'll ask kind of more stuff on this later, but when they get that report back, have you seen them actually say, oh, wow, we didn't even know this was going on in our system. Let's go fix it?
Yes, I've seen that many times. And we've got some customers that have multiple air ends. They keep files on each rebuild, and our technical evaluation goes into that. There's a lot of examples where you can look at our technical evaluation and realize maybe you're running your discharge temperature too low. Maybe you're running it too hot. Maybe we need to change the type of oil. Maybe I have one guy, he had sandblasting on his air end, and he had the air end intake right by where the sandblasting was happening.
Oh, wow.
And so we had them take the sandblasting or have the air intake outside of the building.
Wow.
And he got tremendous more life and use out of his air end.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well,
Little
good.
Things like that, sometimes when it's your piece of equipment, you don't notice things like that.
Right.
But when somebody else has a new set of eyes to come in and take a look at it, they'll see something that's right there in front of you.
Sure. Well, I mean, that makes good sense. I mean, I'm assuming that talk about how y'all come up with the fact. I mean, I'm assuming this isn't something you just kind of put your finger in the air and go, oh, that looks like an oil problem. So can you kind of speak to some of the things that some common things that you see, and then I'll follow up with that with another question about what how you got to those conclusions. But what are the most common things that you guys see that our viewers might be able to prevent? Just kind of hearing it from you.
Well, I would say one of the most common ones is your lack of lubrication.
Yeah.
You may not change the oil soon enough. You may get a filter that's plugged, and then you don't get good flow through there. A lot of it can be just back to your preventative maintenance.
Sure. If
you'll do a good preventative maintenance program, there's no reason why your air end won't last you for a long time.
Let me ask you this: so if lubrication, so if I'm hearing you right, lubrication issues are probably the most common thing. Is that right?
Yeah, lubrication issues will cause bearing failures. We can tell by looking at them. Burnt oil. If your oil gets too hot,
right,
we can see what we call molasses on the bearing, on the metal surfaces, and in all the crooks and crannies. It's pretty obvious a lot of times what actually caused the failure.
Sure. Well, do you have, to kind of help just off the cuff, do you have any kind of specific oil, manufacturers or specific types of oil, or does it kind of just depend on the situation, so to kind of ask the specific questions to what you need?
No, you really need to get with your local distributor and our oil distributor or our air end distributor and see what's your application, because there's different types of oils. You may find out a synthetic's going to be good for your application. If you're in a food processing, then you may need a food grade oil. There's lots of different factors in there that too many for me to count right now.
Sure.
That's going to make what type of oil and the environment your unit's working in is going to depend on the type of oil. So I would highly recommend that you go to one of the distributors on the Area Knows website and get them to come out and take a look at your situation and get them to recommend a type of oil and filtration, because there's three main things that will keep your Arian running forever. Well, not forever, but for a long time.
Hey, I'm gonna hold you to that. Anyway. You said it right here.
If you have good separation
right.
of your oil, and you have good temperature control, you're gonna have a long life on your compressor, your Arian.
Man, I'm sorry, my pen broke down on me there when you said that. Repeat those things, and then that way also too, if somebody else is listening, they can hear that again. Tell me those three things again.
Separation. You want good separation from your oils. Filtration. You want to make sure you don't get any particulate matter into your oil system. And then temperature control. You want to make sure you're running in the optimal control temperature for your situation.
And that's going to be, those things are going to be situation specific, I'm assuming, right?
That's correct.
Okay. That makes sense. So with y'all's company, do you guys try to speaking again to the forensic side of things? Again, I don't think somebody can just hold their finger in there and say what it is. So do you guys have engineers on staff to help with that kind of thing, or do you have how do y'all come up with these failure analysis?
Yeah, we have 2 mechanical engineers and a process engineer on staff, and we have the guys who tear them down. They've been doing it for a long time, experience. So we have the knowledge and the experience to back up what we do. That's what we count on, and that's what we depend on. Okay.
And to kind of get away from that a little bit, and I appreciate you sharing about your company and how that your company affects the industry. And can you talk about the industry in general? I mean, where do you see the air industry in 5 years? Where do you see it going?
I think the air industry is going to improve as the economy improves. More and more people are going to be improving their air, and I think it's going to be good, because if you look at the Dow right now, it's in high marks.
Right.
It's been setting records. That all is going to filter down to more companies opening up, more companies doing expansions in the U.S. I know a lot of companies are talking, let's come back to the U.S.
Yeah.
And as they come back and set up facilities, do manufacturing here in the U.S., air demand is just going to go up. And, of course, as more compressors are out there, Arians, you're going to have the old ones that are going to need to be replaced. So I see the air industry as being here for a long time and only getting better.
Well, that's really good. From where we've come, in 09 and that kind of time frame, to hear those types of things is obviously very encouraging. So that's definitely good to hear. What are your concerns for the industry as you're out? I'm assuming you're out in the field a lot, talking to different customers and things like that. What are some concerns that they may be voicing, and how can our viewers get ahead of some of those?
Well, some of the concerns that I have is, people not maintaining their units. As far as that's pretty much pros specific. As far as industry-wide, there's a lot of new brands coming on. There's a lot of competition out there between brands, and each distributor is pretty much, kind of on their own out there. So I think that, what Arian Knows has brought to the market here is going to help with one of those concerns right there, and the fact that we're going to make it more open, and we're going to give distributors the advantage of having a nationwide market or worldwide market that they can now build on to.
So you're seeing it somewhat being kind of isolated, maybe, especially in a global economy now, and that's interesting because it's true. We get so focused on our area whatever it is that we're doing. I mean, we are truly in a global market, and it does seem as though people are not quite as focused, in their 5 zip codes. And that's a good point, to kind of go back to your business. Do you guys typically, you're out of Lubbock, Texas, if I understand right?
Right.
So do you guys have most of your customers coming from Texas, or do you see the air market, kind of throughout the country?
Now, we get air-ins from all over the North America. And like I say, in 2012, we got one in from China.
Wow, okay.
And I'll tell you a story that kind of backs up what the web can do for you. Is our salesman, Mark Feet, he covers the East Coast time zone. He was visiting one of his customers the other day, and that customer decided to build a website because his business was down. So in his spare time, he started building a website. And now he sells more through his website than he does through his front door.
Wow.
And so he's all excited about the World Wide Web. And so I think that with the web, turning 25 this year, 2014, I saw that on the web.
You sound like Al Gore. You invented the thing too, didn't you?
I think it's a tool for your toolbox. Let's put another tool in your toolbox, and let's help you expand and grow and take advantage of what's out there. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Well, this is for our viewers that are watching, and if they're just watching for the first time. I mean, this site, and we're connected through Skype, so forgive if there's any kind of glitches or anything like that. Lee, I hope you can see it okay. But this is what we're going to try to bring to you, once a week or so. So hopefully, again, kind of to Lee's point, we're going to try to be worldwide with our experts and get people in here. So that's a shameless plug, Lee, for me on the site. But Skype allows us to have these interviews. That way, I don't physically have to fly to Lubbock, Texas, or wherever it may be to get with Lee. So we're going to try to connect with our experts where they are, just in office like what Lee's doing. So shameless plug for me there. Lee, do you have any other questions or feedback? For the industry in general. I'd like to keep this somewhat concise so people can watch on the lunch break or things like that. So, is there anything else you'd like to touch on before we let you go?
Well, I would just like to encourage the people who are seeing this to go out there and reach out to the other distributors. They may not be the same brand that you are, but we're all in this together. Let's get out and talk amongst each other and help each other solve problems. It's what we do. It's a global economy now.
Yeah.
You may not be in the same territory, or you may be in the same territory, but let's get out there and help each other, because the more we help each other, the better everybody gets, and the stronger the industry gets.
Well, and I think that makes some sense. It's this industry is a great industry, and I've been very blessed to meet a lot of really, really good people, and it is a shame that one guy over here might not know this guy over there, and they're struggling with an issue one of them might have gone through in the past. So that's the hope of this site is to bring people together to address those kind of issues. So listen, Lee, I couldn't appreciate it more, man. You taking the time. I know you're very busy. We'll look forward to hopefully having you back at some point if your schedule allows for it. But that's it for us today. If you have any recommendations of things that you'd like to see on the site, any different types of experts that you'd like for us to bring on, by all means, post a topic or shoot us an email, and we'll be happy to oblige. I want to stress again, this is your website. This is your industry. You guys make it great, and we sure appreciate your time. And Lee, thank you again. We appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Red. Appreciate the time. And Aaron knows. I like it. AaronKnows.com.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Bye.
All right. Take care.